conspiracy theories. There's rumors that the NBA is going to try to force something big to happen. Will LeBron James leave LA? No, LeBron James is not leaving the Los Angeles Lakers. It's going to be a lot of little deals. But that's usually what happens at the NBA trade deadline. Big headline with not a lot of buzz. So teams are going to get better around the edges. Teams are going to get better in their 6th, 7th, 8th places in the rotation. In terms of a true superstar, doesn't feel like it. We don't have an upset James Harden. Don't want to go anywhere. Kyrie Irving seems fine in Dallas. And if you look at recent history, well, those have been the dudes that have wanted out. Those have been the dudes that have been breaking down or ripping apart supposed super teams. And we don't have that right now at the NBA trade deadline, but we will keep our eye on it. We will tell you about the impactful moves that some of these playoff contenders are going to try to make around the edges to make a run this postseason, because the NBA playoffs, it's going to be fantastic. This is a year that is going to draw you in. Because when you look at the Western Conference, and the top two teams in the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves, you're going to get to know the future of the NBA. And you better know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander actually has second best MVP odds behind Nikola Jokic. Anthony Edwards, Minnesota, lost the playoff series last year, 4-0 the Nuggets. They're ready to go this season. And the best team in basketball, DC, could be a team that's sitting there in 4th place in the Western Conference. They got back from a 7-game road trip. They went 6-1 on the 7-game road trip, got back to LA, got beat by the Pelicans last night, 117-106. But a team that people are going to start realizing very quickly is the real deal is the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yeah, you got to look out for them. It's funny how it started almost as a joke when they got Harden, but then it came together and you're looking like, whoa, they put together something that's very real here. So 4th right now, they have the players in the path to make a run in the West. And it's something that as someone who follows the Nuggets, I didn't see them as a huge factor at first, but now it's like I see them as, and that's a serious contender in the West. And look out, man, the Clippers, that's a team to watch. They're fun to watch. They're fast. They
James Harden fitting in, being a facilitator and getting his
wild?
buckets. Kawhi Leonard is having one of the best stretches of basketball of his career. He's playing. His efficiency numbers offensively are outstanding. He's shooting a 3-point shot. He's multiple-time NBA champion. So he knows what to do on the floor. And a player that I don't doubt is Paul George. Like I know there was the playoff P narrative, but he has so much experience in the postseason. Like, this team looks so good. And oh, by the way, Russell Westbrook's coming off the bench.
By the way, Russell Westbrook, that is wild when you put it that way. That lineup just, I'm having a hard time thinking of a better lineup, to be honest.
Not right now. There's teams that are kind of constructed differently, but they have, when we talk about basketball, and it's something we've talked about with the Lobos all season long, and that is just players filling their roles. And that's exactly what the Los Angeles Clippers have, whether it's Russell Westbrook coming off the bench, excelling there, or in their center, Zubac. Just a good quality NBA center, giving you solid minutes inside, banging with some of the big dudes that you need to down low. And then it's how you matching up. When Harden is playing facilitator first, and then you know he can still make all those tough shots. The efficiency numbers of Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, who is probably the best third option right now in the NBA.
Paul George is the third option. That's scary, man. That is
And you're right. This is one we were all looked at and go, it's the Clippers. They're going to mess it up. James Harden's going to come in. You know what James Harden's going to do?
Yeah, he's
bad attitude.
Have bad attitude. He's going to tear apart the locker room. It's all bad with James Harden.
And then that is Clippers team that's a half game back of Denver Nuggets, who the Denver Nuggets are just rolling out Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. And then behind that, you still have the Phoenix Suns. And the Suns are starting to put it all together. Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant on the floor. They're 30-21. That's 5th place in the Western Conference. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. You're seeing them be okay throughout the regular season. Say, all right, Booker, you can have your run, 3-4 really hot games. Bradley Beal goes back to Washington to play the Wizards a couple days ago, scores 43 points from what Kevin Durant can do. And then you look at that play-in, the 7-10, the teams that would be in the play-in. You have Sacramento Kings team, that can be ridiculously dangerous with De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis. The Dallas Mavericks, do we trust them in the playoffs? No. But it can be a long series if Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are going off. They're just going to trade back and forth, scoring buckets. But the problem with those guys is they're not going to defend anyone. And that's going to hurt you in the playoffs if you can't have a backcourt that plays any lick of defense. And the Lakers are the team that everyone's going to be focusing on today. 27-25 in ninth place right now. I am of the belief that LeBron's not going anywhere. I just don't see a trade that makes sense for LeBron or even the Lakers if it's just like, hey, we have some first-round picks years from now. Because a lot of the teams you're talking about, and I know the other day, DC, you're like, finally found one that worked on that NBA trade machine. It's the Milwaukee Bucks.
Took a while.
But they don't have a lot of assets now. They've made moves. They traded for Damian Lillard. Like, so you can give them Chris Middleton, but then if you're the Lakers, you're acquiring first-round picks maybe in like 27, 28, 29. That doesn't... All that does is give you ammunition for more moves. And I think the best thing for the Lakers, just ride it out. You can compete with LeBron James and AD. If you get into the play-in tourney, we saw what happened last year. You got to the Western Conference Finals.
The only thing I wonder, and this is really just me wondering, do they look at the Shohei Ohtani thing and say, I don't want that to happen to us?
Leave him for nothing.
Yeah.
That is a possibility, but and what shocked me is when you're like, well, by the way, Ron doesn't have a no-trade clause.
Right.
Which is absolutely crazy to me.
It is. And so when his agent comes out and says he won't be traded, he can't guarantee that. So that's why it's when I rewind at how this all started and how the smoke started, him going out and saying that they aren't trading, to me, says they're talking about a trade. And the fact that this was about a week ago that came out, I'm just wondering what we're going to find out, what kind of conversations, because you know how it goes. Tomorrow we're going to hear, oh yeah, the Lakers were so close with this team, or they were talking to that team. I wonder who they're talking to, and I wonder how far it's getting. It's even if he doesn't move, there's conversations. There has to be. There's no way that they're not on the phone. And
that's, the Lakers too. A part of it is if LeBron does leave, well, it's cap space essentially. You start figure out you build your roster differently. Because he has a $51 million player option.
And right now it's 140 is the base level. So you're talking about freeing up over a third of your cap.
So that's where
that helps the team.
Yeah, so that's where I'm not like, oh, you have to have these future assets. You can find a way to get that. You could trade D'Angelo Russell for a future first round pick if you were that desperate to acquire something down the line, because all these teams move so many pieces years out that you can find a way to get some assets. To me, if I'm the Lakers, riding out with LeBron, if he doesn't want to accept his $51 million player option for 1 year next season and say, all right, thank you. And you start to rebuild around Anthony Davis. And you just take your cap space and you figure, all right, we can get assets instead of future first round picks down the line. Because the one thing, if I'm LeBron James, I know he doesn't have control, but he's going to have enough say in this where he could make it really uncomfortable or difficult if they find a destination that he doesn't want to go to for not even half a season.
And when you say make it uncomfortable, are you saying he's refused to play or
I wouldn't put it past him if they sent him somewhere where he didn't want to go. But the challenge with the LeBron James trade, it comes down to matching the salary. And you have to do that in the NBA. There's a percentage of salary that has to go back to the team that you're trading to match the salary that you're getting. And with LeBron James being at $47 million this season, it would take one big time player, and you found it, Chris Middleton is like 30,
right about
$33 million, somewhere in there.
Yep.
And so you put a player like Chris Middleton in a deal, and then role players, and you send them back. And the challenge with any of these deals is gutting your rotation worth it? Because I get it. If you're like Milwaukee, you're like, oh, you have Damian Lillard, Giannis, LeBron James. You could just, I guess, call up a bunch of players from your G League affiliate to fill out the rotation at that point in time. So Brook Lopez inside, Bobby Portis, like that one would make sense. But a lot of these other destinations, you just have to send so many of your quality role players in a trade to match salaries that would it be worth it for a quarter of a season? We're not even talking half at this point, like a quarter of a season of LeBron James. And so that's why I just don't see LeBron leaving LA. I don't see another team looking at, hey, this is what we need for the last push, given what it's going to take and the amount of players just to match his salary.
The reason I keep going back to the Bucks, they just fired their head coach. They had changes at top. There's these whispers about Giannis not being happy. How do we keep him happy? If you bring LeBron James and get a ring, I'm thinking he's going to be pretty happy.
It would be. So that's why never say never. I understand that in sport, anytime we're having these conversations, I'm saying that I don't think that would happen, but that's been the biggest rumor there is. People talking about would something happen with LeBron James. The trade deadline is 3 Eastern today.
3
So
Eastern, 1 our
anything
time.
happens, it's going to have to start happening. But we'll keep an eye on it because right now it's a lot of the pieces, the edges. It's what you usually see on the trade deadline. Teams just working on the edges, maybe trying to solidify a backup, whatever, and get a little bit of the depth. Because the NBA playoffs this season, man, I'm stoked. I look at that Western Conference, and as a Denver Nuggets fan, I'm like, whew. It feels like the Nuggets. I kind of looking at them and saying, all right, are you going to bring in a veteran in that rotation, try to make a move? I know Xavier Tillman was a name that was floated out there, or he just got traded from Memphis to Boston Celtics. How you feeling about the Nuggets?
You know, it's funny. I read an article on The Athletic yesterday about the one need every team has. For the Nuggets, they said nothing, which I'm looking at it like surely there's a move that improves that team. But I did think it was very interesting that, you know, a national writer felt like their team was ready to go.
I do like your Reggie Jackson, how he's become. They got him last year. They just really have time to work him in. So you have that veteran point guard coming off the bench. You still have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray. I don't know if you're like me, DC, but I am always hot and cold on Michael Porter Jr.
We've had this conversation.
Like you're like $100+ million dude, and can you trust him to be a difference?
I know, and right now he's on my good side, and he has been most of the season. Actually, he's looked good. He's bulked up. He's turning in the player that we want him to. But
he has to be.
He has to
for the Nuggets to make another run this year. Like he has to be night in and night out.
He does.
One of their best players.
He does, and he could be a piece if you're looking to make a move. He might be that tempting piece that somebody is willing to give a little too much for. So I guess if the Nuggets were going to make a move, that'd be the guy that I think they would use as their bait, I guess, trade bait, if you want to call it that. But I think there could be a team out there that sees Michael Porter Jr. is almost there and they think they can push him over top.
Contenders making moves. We'll keep you up to date. NBA trade deadline today, and will there be a blockbuster trade in the NBA? 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line this morning. We come back on the other side. I don't know if many people heard it, but Nelly Jr. Joseph joined Robert Porter and Hunter Green post-game after the Lobos win at Wyoming. And he said something that got me thinking and should definitely keep you Lobo fans buzzing. And what did he say? I'm going to tell you what he said. And what do you think about this statement from Nelly Jr. Joseph? It's coming up next. JJ Buck, it's DC. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Hey, it's Rich Eisen here. Join me and my compadre, Chris Brockman, every month.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro View. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView networks.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mirror here. And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay. We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field. 505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space. And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready.
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman!
Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
got a lot of NFL, a lot of football stuff to get to this morning. Also, Jerry Palm, CBS Sports bracketologist, with us at 8:30, because the Mountain West is awesome right now. 4 teams, 7-3. The top 6 is what you expect. Boise State, New Mexico, San Diego State, Utah State, 7-3. Colorado State, 6-4. Nevada, 5-4, coming off a double-digit win at Utah State. We'll talk with Jerry about the snapshot in time right now, because so much can move. You can play the what-if game and ask, what if this happens? What if that happens? The best way to talk to Jerry Palm about this is a snapshot of the moment right now and how the current bracket would look. And he joins us coming up at 8:30. Jay Buck, DC with you. Jeff Symbieta back tomorrow. That's some important bowl business he had to attend to, which is why yesterday we were both remote. DC holding it down and holding the ship together. The captain back there, and Jeff over in the Eastern time zone. I was in San Diego. By the way, disappointing day for the Lobo women. They lose 58-51 at San Diego State. And the challenge was your starting point guard was game time decision. Anai Ogman, who's been phenomenal. We're talking 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in Mountain West play. When we wake up, get on that bus at 9, get to the gym, and Anai walks out in street clothes, and you're like, ooh. I thought you're starting point guard, and it showed in the fourth quarter. Lobos turned the basketball over, could not get it moving, and San Diego State got going. The Lobos had a 6-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and just everything went wrong for them in the final quarter. And so New Mexico falls to 7-4 in Mountain West play, but they're back home Saturday. So Lobo women will host Colorado State at noon. Of course, we have that sold-out Lobo men's game at 6 p.m. at the Pit. But speaking of the Lobo men, after that victory in Laramie, Wyoming, Nelly Jr. Joseph hopped on the post-game show with Robert Portnoy and Hunter Green on the UNM Sports Radio Network, and he said something that it perked my ears up. I'm like, It's what we all talk about with this team, but when you hear a player say it, when you hear one of these star players on the team talk about it, you're like, okay. And Nelly Jr. Joseph, of course, from Iona. And at Iona, Nelly was an all-conference player, went to the NCAA tournament last year. He was on an Iona team that won 27 games, went 17-3 in MAC play, got to the NCAA tournament. Nelly Jr. Joseph said this after the Lobos win at Wyoming.
They can pass, they can score, so it's amazing play with them. I mean, this is the best team I've been on. So.
Oh yeah, that's what a big wants.
Yes.
A guard to pass on the ball, right?
Yes, and they can also score the ball,
Yes.
So want to win.
It's that little thing right there. This is the best team I've been on. And he talked about how everyone is willing to defend, rebound. The scores that this team has when you score 91 points on the road. When you look at that stretch of basketball Lobos have been playing in conference play, you're scoring in the 80s and 90s against conference opponents. That's fantastic. But it was that comment right there. Like, Nelly Jr. Joseph's been on winning teams. The team he played on last year, look at one of his running mates, Walter Clayton, playing at Florida now. These guys that went to the NCAA tournament. And Nelly's played a lot of college basketball. Won a lot of games at Iona. And he feels that this is the best team that he has been on. And that, to me, shows how everyone is bought in. And you had the questions with the backcourt. You just needed to see it. Just needed to have time. And I know in sports, we don't like to give anything time. Because we wake up, we turn on these mics, and we're reacting to what we saw happen last night. We're reacting to this exact moment. But sometimes things do take time. And for the Lobos, once they got to Mountain West play, and they said, all right, we know Jalen House, Jamal Mashburn Jr. are healthy. They're in the starting lineup. Let's figure it out with Donovan Dent. I know that front court with Nelly Jr. Joseph and JT Tompin, you're pretty good. So let's get this recipe, let's throw it in the oven and see what comes out. And so far, so good. But that comment, oh, okay. He believes. He sees the talent. And for the Lobos, it's continuing to buy in, continuing to build towards March. Handle their first piece of business at Wyoming. It's a whiteout on Saturday. That place is going to be popping. It's a sold-out crowd. You go try to get the regular season split against UNLV, and then you turn your attention to the road. And the Lobos have 4 massive road games the rest of the way. When it's at Nevada, at San Jose State just next week. You have the Boise State game in a couple weeks. Go back up there. Again, try to get a split of the series. And then you have a chance also to sweep a regular season series. You can do that against the Aztecs. But also the final game of the regular season in Logan against Utah State. That could be your Mountain West regular season title at this point in time. So you're building a resume, playing for a conference championship. You're going to be hyped going to Las Vegas. And the process to this point, it's paying off. There was a comment that really just piqued my attention. Went, oh, Nelly's played a lot of basketball. He's been on NCAA tournament teams. And he is all in with this Lobos team. And how you feeling about what Nelly Jr. Joseph said post-game? This is the best team he's ever been on. They can score, rebound, and defend. That's pretty much the definition of what you do in sports, right? And if you have everyone bought in and playing at that high level, good things can happen. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line this morning. When we come back on the other side, practice. We're talking about practice, but the 49ers took the practice field. No excuses for San Francisco as they get ready for a Super Bowl 58. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
If you're drunk,
Blasted.
intoxicated,
Rip.
plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of Pro V Sports.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Teenagers love a party, especially
practice. Teams finally got on the practice field yesterday. Monday, Tuesday, a lot of media. Got to answer all the questions. Handle the thousands of journalists, media personalities in attendance in Las Vegas. Or it's Tuman on, A. Murray bouncing around. Live from Radio Row. Catch them at 4 o'clock. They've been holding down for the Sports Animal. You're home for the NFL, and Super Bowl 58 is the Sports Animal. Our coverage starts at noon on Sunday. The teams finally got back to a little bit of football yesterday. One of the big talking points for San Francisco is they had to practice at UNLV. They had to lay down the grass on top of the turf practice field. It was not firm enough. The NFL's like, no, it's fine. It's safe. San Francisco's like, okay, but this is not what we want. Not the way we like our grass to feel. And so they're going back and forth, but no excuses. While the 49ers and NFL Players Association expressed concern over the practice fields at UNLV because it was that natural grass laid on artificial turf, said it was too spongy. Kyle Shanahan, head coach of the 49ers, said, it is what it is. We are all right. Yes. And he was more concerned about the team's focus just practicing for the first time in Las Vegas than anything that was going down on the field. The 49ers installed their game plan last week, and now it's just fine-tuning and tweaking things. You know, getting on the field, getting loose.
Do you happen to know, does the team choose where they practice, or is the NFL
designated?
Is it?
So it's AFC and NFC. So the NFC was given UNLV, and the AFC this year was able to use the Raiders facility. And head coach Andy Reid said yesterday that these are the best conditions he's ever had for preparing for a Super Bowl. He said, quote, it's great conditions to prepare for this game. I think our guys have been focused in on this point, and the facilities are great. So people are going to use that as an excuse if Kansas City wins.
The AFC West Raiders are hosting the AFC team on their field, while the NFC gets to practice on a college field, which should be, about
on
the same.
A college field that has grass laid on top of turf.
That's amazing. That'll be a story next week.
Oh, yes, it is. And if Kansas City wins this game, some 49ers fan on Reddit is going to go off, and it's an NFL conspiracy.
They're going to have some pictures that prove it, too.
And it was the 49ers had no chance because they were doomed from the start. And the NFL wanted the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift storyline to end with the Super Bowl.
I always felt that about Super Bowl 48. Like, why did the Broncos stay on a boat? I mean, seriously, they're staying on a boat.
Who made the decision to stay on a boat? Was it the NFL?
Apparently. I mean,
we're going to stay on a boat.
It wasn't that something, though. All those interviews, like, you could tell it. No one was comfortable. Anyone who stays on a boat for a week knows their legs aren't right. So, I don't know. I always held that against the NFL.
That first snap of that Super Bowl went over the head of Peyton Manning.
It's all on the boat.
We're on a boat.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good pull. I haven't thought of that in a long time.
Yeah. It's there. The NFLPA Executive Director Lloyd Howell said today that the UNLV practice field, quote, really isn't up to snuff for what our players deserve. We're talking about practice. Not a game, practice. And at this point, you're just essentially doing calisthenics for 2 days to get ready for the Super Bowl. You're not
drawing up new plays, installing new packages at this point. Though, it is something that they aren't on equal practice facilities. I'm thinking to myself, like, could you go practice in LA or something and come back? It's only, what, 3.5 hour drive?
I'm sure they'd honestly fly at that point.
Oh, true.
With the football teams, because that would be the last thing you'd want to do, down a bus for
so
3.5 hours.
In this scenario, San Francisco couldn't choose another field, or it's too late, probably.
I think by this point to it, and in Vegas, it would be the same thing. I don't think there's grass fields laying around Las Vegas, Nevada.
Well, they do have that one high school program that's.
I'm pretty sure Bishop Gorman's turf.
Is it?
Double check.
Yeah,
but I would assume it would be a turf field at high school.
Now I got to look it up.
We'll look it up. But that's 49ers. They're out there practicing. Kyle Shanahan said no excuses. Andy Reid's loving it. How do you feel about that? Mark Davis, he was joking around, but he said that his two favorite teams are the Raiders and 49ers. Excuse me, the Chiefs and 49ers this week. Because they're in town at his stadium playing the Super Bowl, and he's getting money off of it. But fans didn't like him saying that. Does it matter if like the Chiefs win at Allegiant Stadium? Like if you're a Raiders fan, that like hurt you? Or is it just it's Super Bowl? Doesn't feel that way.
I guess I'm looking at it like they're still new to Las Vegas, so it has a different feel. It's not like the old school rivalry. You're not going to Oakland and winning a Super Bowl. That would probably be a little more impactful. I can't imagine Raider fan getting all upset about Chiefs fans because they've only been there a couple of years.
But Andy Reid loves it. Place beautiful. The facilities are fantastic. Kansas City's enjoying being selected to use the Raiders facilities. And from what I've read and understand, it's designated before. So it wasn't, hey, Kansas City's an NFC West team. You can use the Raiders facility. It was, hey, NFC's over here, AFC's here.
And you are right. Bishop Gorman is artificial turf, so that would not be.
So you're running into that challenge forever, unless you split practice time at the Raiders facility.
Maybe they get one half of the field and 49ers get the other.
Or so you get the morning session, the other team gets the afternoon session, type of deal. But then and you know, if you've ever been around teams in the setups, and especially an NFL team, you got all your gear, you just want to lay it out there. You don't want to have to bring it all out and then put it away. But if you want fairness, that's what you're going to have to do. If you do think that this gives the Kansas City Chiefs an unfair advantage, you have to talk about it. Kyle Shanahan, I appreciate the no excuses. It is what it is. Maybe it's a little too soft from what they like. At this point, you're just trying to stay warm for Super Bowl.
Stay warm and stay healthy. Because I think that really is, if we hear about a 49er player going down,
getting hurt,
tearing a knee or something on that's going to start up a storm.
That'll be a bleep storm. Yeah, that would be a disaster ahead of the Super Bowl, and then there'd be no way for the NFL to talk themselves out of that hole. But when you look at everything that's surrounding Super Bowl 58, one of the things that's coming out too, and Patrick Mahomes addressed it. He was asked about, does he like becoming a villain figure in the NFL? Like Patrick Mahomes, the villain. And Mahomes said yesterday, quote, "Not necessarily. I think I just like winning. If you win a lot and that causes you to be a villain, then I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, I'm going to enjoy playing the game to try to win as much as possible." And this always fascinates me because there's nothing wrong with Patrick Mahomes. Like if you're a fan of the Broncos or the Raiders or the Chargers or anyone else in the NFL right now, yeah, you don't like him because he beats you all the time. But that's what's fascinating about sports villains, because there's a difference to this. There's the legit dirty players. They're like, oh, I don't like that guy. We're at Todd Bertuzzi. We don't forget. That's villain.
That is villain.
That's villain. Then there's bad owners and coaches who kind of fall into that, and you feel ruin your franchise, you ruin your team. And then it's just the dudes that win a lot that you don't like, that then become villainous figures, or just the teams you root against because they just win. And that's Patrick Mahomes. Like honestly, you look at Patrick Mahomes, and it's the other stuff you want to clown him for, as you've touched on, is the reputation of his wife around town in Kansas City, his brother just being a Delta Bravo off the reservation and the stuff he's dealt with, the sad situation with his father. the third DUI. Like, there's stuff around him. But really, when you look at Patrick Mahomes, you're just like, it's Kermit the Frog that is the best player in the NFL. And so to me, like, he's not a villain. It's just what we do in sports is when someone wins too much, we just don't like it.
You know, it's funny, though. In this very specific situation, I am the exact opposite. I'm starting to like Patrick. And he beats us badly, but I kind of dig it, man. It's kind of like NWO. Like, I want him and Kelsey, and I want them to come out with the black shirts and just embrace it.
Like, Kelsey's the dude that's popping off. He's the dude that's talking. Mahomes is kind of like, hey, guys.
That was a good one.
It's like, yeah. But it's just the dudes that win so much. That's how we're wired in sports, because we want to be the team that's winning all the time. I want the team I rooted for to win all the time. But I'm saying there's different ways to factor what a sports villain is. Sometimes it's just legit dirty players. The coaches or owners that might just run your team into the ground. And other times it's just a dude that wins too much.
Well, it's funny because we compare him to Tom Brady, and the same thing happened with him. He kept winning, everyone kept hating. But I mean,
and they threw a lot of lines into the water. You know, whether it was Spygate,
they weren't
Gate.
They weren't helping.
It wasn't
sometimes.
just like they had some other talking points. We're like, okay, not just the winning; it's how you winning.
Well, you know, if you think about it, though, we're talking about a 20-year time span. We're only 7 years into Mahomes. I mean, he's got plenty of times to do some things to annoy people.
To really make it piss off. And how about this for Patrick Mahomes? He's going to be the first quarterback to start in 4 Super Bowls before the age of 30.
That's amazing. That is truly. I have not heard that stat, but or fact, whatever you want to call it. But that's amazing. You got to tip your hat to that. You really do.
One of the things I want to look at too this morning, and we'll do it coming up. Don't know the exact time, so this is a terrible piece. Maybe at 9:00. Let's look for 9:00. It's a kind of a fun roadmap. I tried this out earlier this week with some buddies. So we're gonna look at some of the player over/under totals for like receptions, yards, completions, things like that. So the big time players in Super Bowl 58. It actually is. It's a fun roadmap. An interesting exercise to go through the player prop bets, and it kind of takes you towards who you think is going to win the game.
Yeah, it really would. I'm looking forward to that because that is a very, very fun exercise. You're absolutely right. When you look at it and you start realizing, I think they're going to pass for a bunch of yards. I think they're going to run. They're going to score it. And you realize what I'm saying is this is who's going to win. So that'll be a fun exercise.
Yeah, so we'll do that now. We'll look at some of the player prop bets because I know a lot of y'all are going to be doing that this weekend. Raise your hand. Yep, I'm raising my hand. Absolutely going to have some of those parlays and player props on it. And it gives you a roadmap when you start answering these questions over under for reception total, rushing yards, completions, about how you feel the game is going to play out. But when we come back on the other side, we've been talking about Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City, feeling good. Are we getting to a point where the 49ers are kind of getting overlooked as favorites in Super Bowl 58? It's opening drive at DC, JJ Buck here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored by Sipapu Ski Resort.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, rip, plastered, paint, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Albuquerque's leader in sports. is ProView. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh? I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom. Sweet? Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight. Boom! Boom!
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I give you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, backed by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother.
Well, too, National Signing Day, it's still kind of a thing. It's a little bit of a thing. The Lobos, it's not breaking news. We heard it the other day, but it's officially official. Elijah Brody, West Mesa quarterback, dual threat athlete, joining the University of New Mexico. And someone on the text line said, college football signing day, no Bronco Mendenhall on to discuss. Well, it really doesn't feel that way because it's been so different. We've talked about the transfers. New Mexico has announced 20 transfers. And that came back in January. They had 2 prep recruits that they announced in the early signing period, December 21st. Brody, the recent one. So 24 players have joined the Lobo football roster. We'll get Bronco Mendenhall on to discuss, but it doesn't feel the same. Like you're not sitting there waiting on the faxes. Then all these names come out throughout the mornings. We pretty much know who's going to be a Lobo. They're already working out this week. Well, we will touch base with Bronco Mendenhall as they get closer to spring practice and getting out there on the football field. What we are getting closer to is Super Bowl 58 this Sunday, San Francisco and Kansas City. Your home for the NFL and Super Bowl 58 is the Sports Animal. And does it feel like the 49ers are kind of becoming the overlooked team, or becoming the underdog in this conversation? Is because of Patrick Mahomes. We're talking about this dude being on track to be the greatest ever, the one guy right now that could climb his way towards 7 Super Bowl championships like Tom Brady. And it's still hard for a lot of people to think of Brock Purdy anything more than just a game manager. Because when you have that label, when you say, oh, someone's a game manager, it's like, all right, they can make the plays, but are they elite when it counts? Not everyone's going to be elite. But when you look at Brock Purdy, can he make the big time throws in a game, sometimes outside of structure, that you're going to need to win games like this? I did pretty good in the second half against the Packers and Lions, making plays, staying consistent, putting the football where it needs to go. And let's not forget, how do you feel about Brock Purdy and where he ranks in terms of NFL quarterbacks? This is still a San Francisco 49ers team that has 2 MVP candidates. When they announced the finalists for MVP, the Associated Press put out that list of 5 players. 2 of them play for the San Francisco 49ers. You know who's not on that list? Anyone from the Kansas City Chiefs. And I get it's a regular season award, but it's Brock Purdy, it's Christian McCaffrey, MVP caliber players.
You know, I heard a stat yesterday about Purdy that it's definitely opened my mind quite a bit. And I've never had a problem with him as a player. He went to Iowa State. My mom went there, so I kind of like him as a person. But 8 out of the last 10 drives in the second half, he has scored. That's MVP caliber. Like,
clutch.
Yeah, it's clutch. It's all the things you want from your quarterback.
It's your team's back is against the wall. And that also is the first half against Green Bay and Detroit. The offense, Brock Purdy did not play well, but they were able to respond in the tightest moments. And I think what we're looking at Brock Purdy, I feel like Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. Good quarterbacks can win championships in the NFL on really good teams. And there's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to be elite to win a Super Bowl. Does it help? Sure. Because we'll run down a list of quarterbacks that constantly get to the championship game or the Super Bowl over the last 24 years. And we're probably going to put more of those guys. Oh, that's a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's a Hall of Fame quarterback. But heck, Brock Purdy could be on that trajectory. We've talked about him. You brought up Joe Flacco. I brought up Ben Roethlisberger. The kind of quarterbacks that have really good moments in their career, maybe never were flirting with being talked about, say, like it's Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, but are just consistently winning games. And this is one, if I'm Brock Purdy, like I was the last pick of the draft. There was zero expectations for me. And now you're saying anyone can come in here and do this? No, not anyone can just come in there and throw for over 4,000 yards in a season. Because I think the 49ers are really good. You know, how about this? I haven't even, ding, ding, ding. You know who Brock Purdy is? Because it's who Kyle Shanahan coached. He's Matt Ryan. Like one of those, can be an MVP caliber player. Maybe we're never going to say, oh, that guy's the best in the game. But it's not like that guy won't win you a lot of games. It's not like you ever feel like you can't compete with that quarterback.
Didn't Matt Ryan get an MVP?
He won an MVP.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, that's a really good comparison. I didn't think about that. But he had many years where he was over 4,500 yards, big numbers, great fantasy performance, but just a lot of wins, but not in the playoffs so much. That's an interesting comparison.
Because there's a lot of those quarterbacks. There's more of those quarterbacks than the elite quarterbacks. And all we want to do, and I'm putting that all of us here because we're talking, we're going back and forth, and you just see it all the time. It's like everyone, it's, well, if he wins this as an elite, or if he doesn't win this, is his legacy crushed forever? Like, no, like you can just be good, and that's okay. And that's what I feel about Brock Purdy. Like, to me, there is something different because when you hear the 49ers players talk, like there's a belief that, hey, Brock can make some of these throws and keep us in games that Jimmy wasn't. Like, to me, Jimmy Garoppolo was more of that, it's got to be good for him to succeed, as opposed to being able to fight through things. I feel Brock has more of the fight through it, make the plays in the clutch ability than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Have you seen that clip with him and Bosa in the locker room? And Bosa's just saying, dude, you were great. You were really good. And Purdy's like, yeah, I could be better. Like, there's something different about that dude. There's something really different, actually. And what I'm really looking forward to is the conversation we have on Monday. If he's the Super Bowl champion, what does that change?
I think what it will do, and let's answer that question on the other side. What will it do if Brock Purdy is a Super Bowl winning quarterback? Does it put to bed all about the lazy, well, he's just a guy in a system? Anyone could do it. Tommy DeVito could do it. Trey Lance didn't do it. But Brock Purdy has his team in the Super Bowl. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and Sports Animal Text Line this morning. You can catch us on ProView Networks. Adrian doing a great job there. DC, JJ Buck, it is the OD on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit HansWhitlerAuto.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
For surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh? I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom. Sweet? Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight. Boom! Boom!
Now, voted the best sports show in New Mexico
for 5 years running.
It's the OD in the AM with 3-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Symbieta and JJ Bach.
Well, it's a resume season for college basketball, as you're building your resume for the NCAA tournament. It's the same thing for quarterbacks. We place win-loss records on quarterbacks. Their legacies are defined by games like Sunday, the biggest game on the biggest stage. Kansas City, San Francisco, Super Bowl 58, Las Vegas, Nevada. You hear the game right here on the Sports Animal. You're home for the NFL. You're home for Super Bowl 58. Our coverage starts at noon. And if you win it, it changes your life forever. And it's also fascinating because the sport of football, there's different ways to win. Now, it's important to have a good quarterback. And everyone's chasing that franchise quarterback, which franchise quarterback in a lot of people's minds equals elite quarterback. But you have the different dynamics. You know, Patrick Mahomes and his journey to right now, Sunday will be his 4th Super Bowl start. First quarterback under the age of 30 to start 4 Super Bowls. Trying to get his 3rd Super Bowl victory. And then you have Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, who took his team in the NFC Championship game last year, got hurt, couldn't use his arm, but was healthy and came right on back to the Super Bowl. And DC brought up the question, what if? What are we talking about Monday morning if Brock Purdy beats Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl? What will we be saying?
Well, there's a scale to this one. There will be people who want to compare him to Tom Brady. And then there will be people who want to say it was everyone but Brock Purdy who did it, and he's still a bum. So it's going to be a wild range of reaction. I personally, as I think about this, I started looking at Tom Brady and wondering what the similarities are and how they might be running parallel. Because, I mean, let's be honest. If you, first 2 seasons, one, you come in off the bench and you take them to the NFC Championship, then year 2, your Super Bowl. I mean, goodness, that opens up a conversation, doesn't it?
It does, because early success puts him on a track to get a lot of wins, to be back in this position. And I think if you look at San Francisco, this is now, was it 4 years ago or 5 years ago that they were in the Super Bowl?
5 years. Yeah, 29. No, I take that back. It's 2020, so 4 years.
4 years ago that they were in the Super Bowl. And so that is a level of consistency for the franchise of still drafting, developing, free agency, being consistent. And so that's also what you look like and say, oh, Brock Purdy's a part of this. You expect them to be able to put good teams on the field. And if Brock Purdy, and I think most out there, don't want to speak for everyone. That's why you can get in 505-246-0610 Sports Animal text line, Sports Animal hotline this morning. And I believe Brock Purdy is in that good quarterback category. I would hope you'd feel that way right now. I think some people, it's hard to see that because I just watched Jimmy Garoppolo do that, but then Jimmy Garoppolo leaves and he's not good with the Las Vegas Raiders. So really, how good do you have to be? You still have to be a good quarterback to win playoff games and get to a Super Bowl, even on a good team. And the Tom Brady comparisons are going to be really interesting for Brock Purdy because, Brady was that 6th-round pick that went on to become the GOAT. And they're similar style of quarterbacks. Like, for Brock Purdy, a little more athletic than you realize. The runs he was able to make in the second half against the Detroit Lions. And he's like, if you had a scale, baseball, how they rank things in your arm in the outfield, I think Purdy would be like in the green. I think Purdy would check like what you'd want, like the NFL average, like good arm, make all the throws, nothing crazy. And I think this is the way we felt with like Tom Brady for a while. It was like he could always just make the throws. Never felt like, oh, that dude throws the best football ever. But
so we talked about sustaining success. The Patriots were in the Super Bowl 5 years before Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. They had 2 down years.
Is it Pete Carroll?
No, that's, I believe, Parcells. Let me look up. But yeah, so they were going to the playoffs. They actually lost the Super Bowl against Packers, but I mean, they were there. Yeah. They were successful. Then in comes Brady, and then they get over the top. It's interesting how that's happening right now.
And once you brought up, someone on the text line just said, too, if the 49ers win the game, the focus will be on how the Chiefs lost the game rather than how the 49ers won. And there's, we're throwing out the what ifs before the weekend. What if this happens, how we're going to break down the game. But there is that eye test to it. What does it look like?
And that's such a good point.
What does the player need to do in said game?
If it's, 24-23 and it's the last second kick, that's a very different story than 42-10 or something like that,
So that, of course, plays into it. We have to watch it. Then to break it down, we can say, what if Brock Purdy does this? What if that? Like, there's a chance the 49ers could win the game and Brock Purdy doesn't have to be great. We've seen that happen. But then it could be, well, we need Brock Purdy in the second half to do something great. So that will affect it because that's what we have to do. We can throw the what if scenarios out there, try to connect the dots, what we feel like, what we think is going to happen, but then we have to let our eyes tell us the story. Does he outduel Patrick Mahomes? Is the Nick Foles scenario where you're like, oh my gosh, goes out there, he throw for like 400, 500 yards in that game?
Yeah, he had a game.
Like something like that, and you're just like, my goodness, how did that happen? Or is it a game where it actually does come down to maybe the quarterbacks aren't great and it's more about survival, just don't turn the football over? All these things can play out. That's the beauty of the Super Bowl. I'm excited because this is a lot of fun because it is the dynamics of you have to be able to make big time plays in big games. Like you can't just be, hey, let's not ruin this. You don't want to turn the football over, but Patrick Mahomes is going to make 1 or 2 big time throws in this. And do you believe that Brock Purdy can match that? And I do. I think he has enough that he can find Brandon Ayuk, he can find George Kittle with a big play in the second half.
And the thing that really benefits Purdy is knowing that he might find Ayuk in the flat, 2-yard pass turns into a 70-yard run. They have that explosive wide receiver core that could turn a small play into a big play very quickly. So I'm with you. I look at Purdy and I say, yeah, he can match those big plays. If he uses his legs effectively, he's kind of a threat back there because he can make the throws. He's got McCaffrey. When in doubt, he's got McCaffrey.
And I think one of the things you brought up too, DC, is the mindset. And as a quarterback, you have to have the right mindset. And I think it was Logan Ryan, who's the safety for San Francisco. A couple weeks ago, he was on the Jim Rome show doing an interview. No, it was Colin Cowherd. I know it was one of the shows. It was Colin Cowherd. I was like, what time was he sitting in the car listening to it? But it was right here on the Sports Animal. We talked about Purdy being an elite process, like something that Kyle Shanahan looks for from his quarterbacks is that mental game to make the right throw, to make the right play, not necessarily having to be off script all the time. And I do think that is something you see with Brock Purdy is making the right decisions, processing it. And also Purdy addressed it too this week when how everyone assumes it's easy. Oh, it's a plug and play quarterback position. But Brock Purdy, his mindset when it comes to the processing and just being there day in and day out, he said, quote, the keys weren't just given to me or anything. It had to be earned. Coming in day one, just trying to learn Kyle's system, his playbook, and earn the respect of my teammates. Over time, I've been able to step into that role and be ready for my opportunity. At the same time, I have had a lot of help around me, and it's allowed me to develop. I'm going to continue to develop with the help and the cast I have around me, end quote. And I think that is one of the things too, is like Brock Purdy has to have something a little bit more to be successful, because it's not just as simple as plug and play. It's not. And when you hear his teammates talk about his processing ability, when you hear Brock Purdy talk about his journey to get there, is Brock Purdy wasn't selected to be the quarterback. Brock Purdy was just a depth guy. And I was reading a story about that. It was actually on yesterday's rundown. We didn't get to it, but how is John York, one of the front office people in the 49ers. So he was hanging around Kyle Shanahan in the team, the draft, it's coming down, 7th round. It's getting late. They have that last pick. And John York was like, so who do you like? Who's so he specifically asked, who's the best player left on your board? And Kyle Shanahan said, Brock Purdy. But then Kyle Shanahan was like, but I think, maybe we could try to sign him as an undrafted free agent. We have other needs we need to address. John York was like, well, why don't you just take the best player you have, and then we'll deal with it after the fact? Because apparently Kyle Shanahan had a 4th round grade on Brock Purdy.
I had not heard that. That's interesting.
And so York, and this is a story that was told, the stuff that comes out, was like, just take the dude you have graded best. Don't worry about trying to sign him, getting to an undrafted free agent bidding war. Just take him. And those are those moments. And then they just took Brock Purdy with the last pick, because he was the best available player on the 49ers board left. Instead of saying, let's reach for maybe this offensive lineman or bring in this safety here to compete on special teams, they went with best player available, and it got him Brock Purdy. But that's still, he still was behind Trey Lance. And the Jimmy Garoppolo was in that mix. You look at the years of what they're trying to do. And so you do have to give Brock Purdy credit for stepping in and stepping up. And his mindset a part of this process. He's just not coming in knowing, I'm a 1st round pick. This is my team. It's the last pick in the draft, man.
And especially knowing that he was going into a situation where they had given up so much for a 1st rounder. There's no way he walked in saying, this is mine to lose. He was there for depth, and he knew it. So going in and working hard clearly paid off, and he was on Shanahan's radar to begin with. So that says something certainly about his ability and skill set and how he would fit with the team. It is amazing, those stories that come out, and you realize that one conversation could have totally changed the direction of this franchise.
A couple more before we hit this break on the Sports Animal text line, 505-246-0610. One says, a Brock Purdy Super Bowl win would make him parallel to both Ben Roethlisberger and Joe Montana, expectations-wise. Every time you hear Joe Montana and the 49ers, that's undefeated in the Super Bowl. And this one says, the likely San Francisco win will result from a 49ers shutdown defense, including closing down the KC run offense, as well as several San Francisco forced turnovers, leaning on Christian McCaffrey. Entirely possible. I'm stoked. And it's Super Bowl. You're always excited, but I just love the matchup in this. Patrick Mahomes is carrying a lesser offense, which we've seen that actually be the case this season, but a team that over the last month or two has found a different way to win, grind, and attack versus a San Francisco 49ers team that can be so explosive and had to overcome some hurdles in the playoffs to set up this matchup. Super Bowl 58 Sunday, San Francisco, Kansas City. You can hear that game right here on the Sports Animal, home for the NFL and Super Bowl 58. It is the opening drive on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction
Safety Company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indy Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in Burkia. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Spout, get ready!
My coach. My teacher. My older sisters. My grandma. My brother. My tutor. My dad and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
There's still some positions to be filled, where Dan Quinn being the last head coach hired, taking over the Commanders, left the hole for the Dallas Cowboys in their defensive coordinator position. People thinking Jerry Jones wants to swing for the fences and to make a home run hire. Does that mean it's Bill Belichick? Well, not so fast, my friends. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal, coming up in 10 minutes. Jerry Palm, CBS Sports bracketologist, is going to join us. We're talking about the snapshot in time that is right now for college basketball and the four teams tied atop the Mountain West Conference with a 7-3 record. But as the Dallas Cowboys look to fill their defense coordinator position, are you ready for some of the names that are on this list that they've talked to, that they've interviewed to? So the recent one is Jets safeties coach Marquand Manuel. He was scheduled to interview today. But they have talked to former Commanders head coach Ron Rivera. They did some in-house interviews with current defensive staff players. Of course, Mike Zimmer, former Vikings head coach, was on Tuesday. And former Jets head coach Rex Ryan also interviewed for the opening.
He's been pretty open about wanting to get back into coaching. I am a little surprised to hear he's already interviewed, though. That's an interesting swing.
How about that Rex Ryan, Mike McCarthy, Dallas Cowboys staff? I think Rex would be a good DC.
I do too.
And he's been, as you said, he's been trying to get back in a little bit. There was some rumors that Sean Payton would bring him in, but that was after the debacle in Miami, right?
Yes.
When they were thinking about making a coordinator change. Was that before the season? I can't really. Before, when he was putting his staff together. Maybe a little bit of both.
I believe, now that I'm rewinding, it was both, because after the 70, they were talking about every option.
Yeah.
Every option. So, yeah, it was definitely both. But, yeah, you're right. During the offseason, that did start to come up.
So the Cowboys casting a wide net for their defensive coordinator. And this is a team, they're going to get Trayvon Diggs back, DeRon Bland. So you got two really good corners. Micah Parsons is there. They have to get better at the linebacker. You saw that a lot. Inside linebackers wasn't great. They were getting pushed around. And so this is always the balance. Are the Cowboys overhyped or are they underperforming? And for Dallas, I think that's a solid unit that can absolutely get better in spots.
I'm a little surprised one name didn't come up. And that's Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
What happened to him? He's not.
I wonder if you're Mike Vrabel, if you're content with sitting back a year and then getting back into that head coaching interview cycle. Like if Mike Vrabel's like, I'm not a coordinator anymore. If you want me, I'm a head coach.
And that may be the case. The Bill Belichick conspiracy still is in my head. And my thought is, if you get Vrabel on defense, if you're looking for a new coach in week 4 or 5, that seems like a nice landing spot for Bill Belichick.
You know who's surprised Bill didn't get hired?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. On the Let's Go podcast, Tom Brady said, quote, I don't know the criteria for hiring coaches. I've never been a part of it. I mean, I'm surprised that the greatest coach ever doesn't have a job. Absolutely. But I'm surprised by a lot of things in the NFL. So this would be the first time since 1975 that Bill Belichick would not be working in the NFL at any capacity. That's wild.
48 years. That's just, I had to stop to think about that. Like, he's been a coach my entire life, plus a handful of years.
You're a young man, DC.
That's quite a run for any industry, really.
And some of the things that were brought up and we've been talking about, it's been confirmed. So Thomas Dimitroff was the Falcons general manager from 2008 to 2020. He was on the Sports Hub 98.5 discussing what happened, because the Atlanta Falcons were the only team to interview Bill Belichick twice. And Dimitroff said that Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, was talked out of hiring Belichick because of the shakeup. That Bill Belichick would come in and say, peace out, everyone, my way or the highway. And so Blank kind of had to be talked away from that. And that's how they got to Raheem Morris.
I bet those were very interesting conversations, because when the owner has his mind made up, it's pretty hard to change that decision. So, wow, I bet that was a very interesting conversation. When you have Dimitroff's, he probably said, you're going to lose everyone if you make this decision.
So he was just, he still knows people. He was there until 2020. And so he was saying that there were a lot of people that talked Arthur Blank out of hiring Bill Belichick in Atlanta. What we're going to talk you into is how many teams right now are looking at an NCAA tournament berth from the Mountain West Conference. Lobos, one of 4 teams, 7-3 atop the Mountain West Conference, with so many marquee games to be played, including this Saturday at a sold-out pit against UNLV. Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, is going to join us next. This is the opening drive on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Fourth Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here. And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay. We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field. 505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space. And you can be part of it.
You make my heart better. Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Light and shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, taint, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot! Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh? I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom. Sweet? Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight. Boom! Boom!
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
A snapshot of this moment in time. That's what these brackets are. They're projected brackets when you pull them up. Of course, the one we're looking at. CBS Sports, Jerry Palm, his bracket. And you look right now in this moment in time. UNM, Nevada, Utah State, Boise State, San Diego State, Colorado State, all in the bracket. But things change. It's just a snapshot of this moment in time. And that is why this time of year, I'm always so excited. I'm hyped. I'm ready to talk with the OD legend, Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, joining us on the opening drive. Good morning, Jerry. How you doing?
All right. How are you?
I'm good. I am really enjoying it out here in Mountain West territory. We have 4 teams, 7-3, tied for first place in the Mountain West. You look at this week, Nevada wins by double digits at Utah State. Boise State winning that game against New Mexico, but then having a 13-point loss at Colorado State. It is just wild to top the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's a really competitive league, and you've got, I've had, 4 to 6 teams in the bracket at various times, and that's probably the range at the end as well, as 4 to 6, depending on what some of these teams do. I would have said New Mexico and Nevada are in the most trouble, but Nevada got a huge win this weekend, and that gives them a little bit of cushion for this week. New Mexico won at Wyoming, and that's nice, but they're still a home court hero. All 5 of their quad 1 and 2 wins are home floor, and eventually that's going to have to change. If all of their best wins are home wins at the end of the year, their chances of making the tournament are not great.
Yeah, those road wins can help you in those resume comparisons when you're looking for what's going to be the difference. Another team that's kind of looking for one of those two still in conference play is San Diego State. They have a chance. So the Aztecs are at Nevada on Friday night, but the Aztecs right now are 0-3 on the road. Losses at New Mexico, Boise State, and Colorado State. And it's what you're talking about, just finding that marquee road win.
Yeah, but they won at Gonzaga. They beat St. Mary's neutral. It doesn't have to be pure road wins. You just have to prove you can beat tournament quality opposition off your home floor. And San Diego State has done that. And it's, but obviously it would help them to do more. But New Mexico has not done that yet. And that's the big hole in the New Mexico resume. But yeah, San Diego State at Nevada, they still have to go to Utah State as well. So, plenty of opportunities to try and improve their seed ahead of them. And, of course, Gonzaga right now, not a tournament team, despite a relatively gaudy metric number. That's a team that needs to just beat somebody, anybody, and they haven't been able to do it yet.
Yeah, you mentioned Gonzaga. They just had a 2-point loss to St. Mary's. What's left for them to try to build their at-large resume?
Well, fortunately for them, they have a random non-conference game. They're at Kentucky this weekend. And then they have at St. Mary's at the end of the regular season. And if they don't, I think they have to actually win both of those games to have a realistic shot at an at-large bid. But if they don't, I mean, the conference tournament's still there for them. But they've got the last time they missed the tournament, I think, was 1998. So that's a very long streak that's in jeopardy this year in terms of making the NCAA tournament, because their best win is San Francisco at home. And that's just not going to get the job done.
Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, joining us on the opening drive. And you mentioned the opportunities. And for a team like New Mexico, they still have those opportunities ahead, because they're going to have a stretch next week where they're at Nevada and at San Diego State on back-to-back days. They still go to Boise, and they finish the season at Utah State. But it's not having the hiccups along the way to try to get those opportunities. And Saturday, it's already sold-out game, but UNLV comes to the pit, and we saw what UNLV did to the Lobos in Vegas.
Yeah, well, and, then Boise won there this year. That's the thing about being a home court hero, is that you actually have to be a home court hero, right? So losing to Boise and, losing to Vegas, I mean, those are games that really New Mexico, I mean, Boise's gone now, but, these are games that New Mexico has to win to stay afloat until they get their chances to win away from home. And by the way, we're talking about road games because that's what's left on the schedule, but the conference tournament is neutral unless you play Vegas. That's a road game. But, you can get quality wins there as well. And this year, you don't have to win the conference tournament to do it. So those opportunities are not on the schedule yet, but they're coming as well.
Jerry, right now, when you're putting your bracket together, the snapshot of time, are there any teams that are jumping out that are on a really good run that are catching your attention?
Really good runs. It's funny. I'm seeing more really bad runs, like Memphis. You're just going completely in the tank. There are teams though that are doing well. It's but it's South Carolina. I'm going to go with South Carolina. They're having a surprisingly good year. They've done really well in the league. I mean, they were picked, I think, last in the SEC, but they've got a 6-game winning streak. That includes wins over Kentucky, a win at Tennessee. I mean, this is a team that's really caught fire and is making, a strong run through the SEC. Now, they've got tough games coming up still, but they're building themselves a cushion for the tough part of their schedule that's ahead, because they still have to go to Auburn, they still go to Mississippi, they're at A&M and Mississippi State, and those are all either tournament teams or bubble teams, and then home Florida and Tennessee. So, those are all challenging games, but now they've got something of a cushion. They can do a little hit and miss through that part of the schedule if they have to.
Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, joining us. And Jerry, one of the things we're seeing this year is just, you can call it competitive, you can call it a roller coaster, whatever it may be, but a team like North Carolina, they go out, have a win over Duke, and then get beat by Clemson. Or if Creighton loses to Providence in overtime, it's kind of just wild all over the place.
Yeah, especially life on the road has been really tough, which makes the Clemson win even more impressive. They were something like 1-60 at North Carolina before that game. I mean, just never win at North Carolina. And they get their second win ever. They're a really impressive performance for Clemson, coming off a home loss to Virginia. So here I said, winning on the road has been really tough, and I just gave you two examples involving Clemson specifically where winning on the road happened. But it has been tough sledding for road teams in conference play this year, and especially the major conferences, which is why it's always important to distinguish yourself with a team that can win away from home against tournament quality opposition. But the fact that it's been harder this year makes it even more important to do it.
Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, with us. All right, Jerry, the NCAA tournament, March Madness, the bracketology, that stuff we love, but there's so many questions with college athletics, and we've seen this happen before with the quote-unquote partnerships, and then nothing comes of it. But the SEC and Big Ten, they want to be, advise people together. They want to be a part of the talking point, and it was announced that they don't want to circumvent the NCAA. They just want to advise the NCAA. Do you see anything coming of this, or is that just two big conferences doing their thing?
Well, they're the power brokers. in college sports right now, those two leagues. So, yeah, they're going to wield a lot of influence. This is a formative stage kind of thing, but, and whatever they decide to talk about and agree on and, propose perhaps for the NCAA is probably not going to be imminent, a year or so off. But they're taking charge in part because they don't feel like the NCAA moves fast enough, which, let's face it, that if there was one consistent thing over time, it's that the NCAA doesn't move fast enough on anything. So I think they're trying to, push the pedal to the metal a little bit on possible changes in college sports, and things have gotten a bit out of hand. So it's good to see the conferences that are the leaders in college sports trying to take some initiative.
At JP Palm CBS on the X, the man that you need to follow, the man that you need to listen to this time of year. Always appreciate the time, Jerry. We'll talk with you next week.
All right, thanks.
Jerry Palm, CBS Sports. And it's awesome, man. It's so much fun because it's a snapshot of time when you look at the brackets that he posts, the work that he does, but it shows you that there is a lot that could be there for the Mountain West Conference because this was on Monday, so there's a lot of factors that play into it. You have to understand that. But at that moment in time, you had 6 Mountain West teams sitting in his bracket. That's just crazy. That's big time college basketball right there, and work to be done for the Lobos. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Did you know Discover...
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here. And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay. We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field. 505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space. And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh? I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom. Sweet? Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight. Boom! Boom!
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
On his team, but he feels this year's Lobo team is the best team he's ever been on. They said that everyone can score, everyone defends, and they rebound the basketball. You got 4 teams right now, 7-3 atop the Mountain West Conference. Just got done talking with Jared Palm, CBS Sports bracketologist, and he's flirting with 5 to 6 teams in his current bracket. And it's the opportunities ahead. And to capitalize on those road games for the Lobos, they have to be home court heroes. And that's what they are right now. And you got by Boise State, but you have a chance to get that one back later. But for it to matter, you have to hold serve at home. It's going to be a tough one. UNLV is the hot and cold team. When they're hot, they can play with anyone in this conference. And they did that in Las Vegas when the Lobos came to town, and we saw that. New Mexico found themselves down 21 points in the second half, just overwhelmed. But it was response since then. The Lobos went on that 5-game winning, blowing opponents out the building. You got a Saturday night, 6 p.m. the Pit. It's a whiteout. It's a sellout. And it's going to be popping. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610. The Sports Animal. Jalen House, too, was named, he's a short list for the Defensive Player of the Year in the entire nation. Jalen House was put on that list. And, you know, with Jalen, he is the nitrous. He's the heart and soul of this Lobo basketball team. Now you have, that's what I really like. That's why I am excited, and I believe this team will live up to the expectations, is because of how everyone fits their role. We know Donovan Dent, their creator, and he can be a scorer. Jamal Mashburn has settled into being that tough shot maker option, not having to take 15, 17 shots a game to be successful. So that backcourt's feeling good. The front court's like, hey, we're going to defend, rebound. You get us a couple touches, we'll find a way to score some baskets. But Jalen House, you know, being named on a National Defensive Player of the Year watch list, yeah, it shows that he is that dude. I know he's very polarizing inside and outside Lobo basketball, but he is the go gadget guy for the Lobo. And now, getting ready for Saturday, UNLV, 6 p.m. It's a doubleheader at the Pit. It's frustrating for the Lobo women. That's a 2-game losing streak, coming off their 5-game winning streak, dropping that one at home to UNLV. They lost yesterday at San Diego State, man. That was a frustrating game to watch. Lobos win the first and third quarter. The Aztecs win the second and fourth quarter because the starting point guard, Anaya Ogman, out for UNM. She was a game-time decision, and when she walked out in street clothes, everyone was just like, ooh, what are we going to do? But the Lobos had a 6-point lead at the start of the fourth quarter and just could not find any rhythm offensively in the fourth quarter. I did get an email yesterday about the game. Someone hit me up, JJ at sportsanimalabq.com, and said, is it as loud in there as it sounds on the radio? And I'm telling you, when you get 3,000 kids, about elementary school to middle school age, and when they all scream at the same time, it is a different pitch. Like, the pitch is what makes it loud. Like, there was only about 3,000 people in Viejas Arena. Viejas is big, 10,000-seat arena. When you got 3,000 of them kids that all have the same pitch in their voice, it makes a difference.
That's funny you say that, because I'm just picturing it probably sounds a little bit like a whistle or something like that. Like,
it does. It's like a tornado coming or something.
That's interesting. The Pacers just made a move.
Ooh, that's update. NBA trade deadline is today. What did the Pacers do?
They sent, let me make sure I get this right, sent Buddy Hield to the 76ers for a package. Yeah.
Okay, so the Pacers are a playoff team. Buddy Hield is a legit shooter. And that is fascinating that they would trade a shooter to a conference rival.
That's exactly what I was thinking. What was the thought process behind that? Because they seem like they're set up to be pretty tough in the East. That I did not expect that, to say the least.
So they got back Marcus Morris, who's just going to sit on the bench because that's what he does. Furkan Korkmaz, he can be a shooter, not as good as Buddy Hield. Right. He'll be a 10-minute guy off the bench, put up some shots, and 3 second-round picks. Buddy Hield was a part of their rotation.
Yeah, I know. That seems like kind of
that's a good get for the 76ers.
Right. I feel like automatically 76ers won that one.
Especially because they're going to have to figure out how to play the next month without Joel Embiid. It's a month plus. It's at least 4 weeks. And then, you're going to take your time. You're taking it really slow with Joel Embiid coming back off this meniscus injury. We might not even see him. And so this feels like 76ers, like we're just trying to stay competitive. We got Tyrese Maxey, put some shooters around him. Go. But that is a really interesting one. The Raptors made a move. They got Kelly Olynyk.
Oh, did they really? That was one that I was reading that I guess the Nuggets had some
first-round pick.
They got a first for him?
The Raptors traded a first-round pick for Kelly Olynyk.
I am
stunned. Dude, the Raptors are not even a play-in team right now.
I am stunned. That's something.
Okay, let's keep an eye on the NBA trade deadline as contenders and pretenders make moves around the edges. When we come back on the other side, we're going to take a different look at the Super Bowl. So we're going to use player over-under totals. And this actually builds a roadmap to what you think is going to play out on Sunday. When you look at the over-under totals, Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, Brock Purdy, Patrick Mahomes, on down the line. And you're going to realize that when you go through this, it's going to point you to the winner. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
Seriously? You expect me to drive while you aren't wearing seatbelts?
What's the worst that can happen?
Seriously? Buckle up.
Okay.
Thank you.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
In the AM with three-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Symbieta and JJ Bach.
Super Bowl 58 Sunday. What are you doing? You know your plans are set. What are you eating? Got to be something good. You plan out the entire day. What time you're getting to where you're going. What you're going to be eating through 4 quarters of football. And then come back, join us on Monday morning. Won't break it all down. I'm looking forward to, I'm a big fan of the baked Lay's with Fiesta dip or green chili dip. Great combination. If you haven't had it, you should. It's phenomenal.
Okay. I like that.
Like, keep it simple. Throw some wings in there and you poppable stuff. What are you rolling out?
You know, it's a good question. We opted against the Super Bowl party because it might not be as fun for those that don't support the Chiefs. So usually in this scenario, when it's just the three of us, we might order out or something. But we'll see. I like to break out the grill. I like
grill going.
Yeah. So
smoke something up.
I know. We've been doing a lot of briskets recently, so that would definitely be on the table. My wife's brother he's just been going crazy on the smoker, so I'm sure if I mention it, we can get some pulled pork in there, some brisket. I tell you what, though, that chips and dip, I'm at that point in the morning where I'm starting to get hungry, and I'm thinking like, yeah, a little spice sounds good this morning.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. You just sit there and eat chips 4 hours straight.
Yeah, just go hard.
Just go at it
on the fried food.
But I'm telling you, it's a combination of the baked Lay's with like the Fiesta dip or green chili dip.
So the Thunder just made a move.
What do we got? NBA trade deadline update.
I know we need some kind of liner, but Oklahoma City finalizing a trade that with the Hornets that ends up sending Gordon Hayward to the Thunder. Do you think that's going to make an impact? I think of the best version of Hayward always for some reason than the injury, and I'm just like, I don't know. Well,
the version of Hayward you're getting is the banged up version.
Right.
But what I like about this move for Oklahoma City, it's a phrase I use a lot, an adult into the room. Like, I trust Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
That is a
but
young
you
team now.
still look
You're
at Chet Holmgren. This is his first NBA season, but he's a second-year NBA player. Gordon Hayward played a lot of basketball, been there, done that. On this roster, looking at Gordon Hayward playing 20 minutes per game, and he's one of those guys that can pop off still. That's a solid move. That's what we're talking about with contenders around the edges. You're not going to do something that takes you, like, at this point in time, we know who you are. If you're a playoff team, you're a conference contender, or you're a championship contender. Oklahoma City, they're gunning for conference contender to play for a championship. When you're setting yourself up like this, you have the second odds-on favorite, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP on your team. Absolute ball. Chet Holmgren, who we forgot about because Victor Wembanyama came to the league.
Yeah, suddenly he disappeared, apparently. He's a good move. Of course, Chet, he's on my fantasy team, so I've been watching him. He's a fun watch. That whole team, that young team, they play a fun game, fun brand of basketball that I love it. The West is so stacked. Every game, every night, you're just looking like, man, those West teams are just tough to beat.
Well, you can talk yourself into the top 5 for sure as winning the Western Conference. Because Minnesota, Anthony Edwards is that dude.
He is so good.
Like, he is a series winner player. And he went through it last year. He got swept by the Nuggets. So he had that experience. We just talked about the Thunder. The Nuggets are there. The Clippers are unbelievable right now. Like, that is working. We all thought it was going to be a joke. It is far from that. And then you have the Suns. There's Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. They're playing together, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. 30-21 overall. Like, it's working. So that's the top 5. And that's without talking about, hey, can the Kings take a step forward and win a series with De'Aaron Fox and Montrezl Sabonis? I am not done with the Lakers. I'm not. if you think you play them in the first round, it's going to be a comfortable series. No.
Yeah, they were in the Western Conference Finals last year. I don't understand how they just suddenly fell off in everyone's minds because
they're only in ninth
the
place.
Team.
They're 27-25, and so that's why people think they are broken because it's LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They should be championship aspirations. Yeah, they can still go on a run like they did last year, and they weren't a top 6 team in the Western Conference. That's why, in my opinion, like I'm fine with the Lakers. You don't need to trade LeBron James. You're always looking to make moves. That's the team. If you get through the NBA play-in series tournament, you get to the first round, and they match up against Minnesota or Oklahoma City. That's going to be an interesting series against either one of those teams. But we'll keep you up to date. It is NBA trade deadline day. Some of the contenders making moves around the edges. JJ Buck DC with you here on the opening drive. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line. If you want to get involved with us, we're talking Super Bowl 58. So one of the things we did earlier this week with some buddies of mine, we went through player prop bets. So over, under, yards, receptions, all those things. And what we found is it essentially gives you a roadmap to picking a winner in the game. You're like, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to do this. Brock Purdy does that. CMC goes off. And then you get to the end, and you have your lead. And you go, well, now that we've talked about all these players, this is where I'm going. So we're going to dive into this. And I got this combination Bet MGM and Sportsline, the odds for some of these players. So let's start at quarterback. So Patrick Mahomes, over under 262.5 passing yards against the San Francisco 49ers. How do you feel about that number?
So, full disclosure, I don't know any of these numbers, anything you're saying. So it's 100% gut. So as you said, 262.5, I think under.
Yeah. I'm there too. And actually, and you look at Mahomes, 262.5, that is also with 25.5 completions or 36.5 pass attempts. And for Patrick Mahomes, 3 of his last 4 playoff games, he's been under 24.5 completions in those. So that would lean you to an under in passing yards with Mahomes. It didn't have to light it up last year, if you recall that playoff game against the Eagles. But you look at, it was Miami, Buffalo, and Jacksonville this year. The 3 he played in the postseason. So I'm there. I think I'm taking the under with Mahomes. Now, with the under of 262.5 passing yards, how do you feel about passing touchdowns? Over under 1.5 passing touchdowns for Mahomes.
My instant thought is over because I think Kelsey definitely gets one, and I think someone else will find one as well. So it might be Rice. I could see a situation where he causes some trouble in the secondary. But I really do think Kelsey is good. You can count him for one for sure. So I'd say take the over on that.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. I think a lot of people are feeling the under on yardage, but somehow Mahomes gets those 2 touchdown passes. It feels like 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals at 20, 24-point area. Is that where we're going to see? Well, we'll get there. For Brock Purdy, over under 245.5 passing yards and the same 1.5 touchdowns for Brock Purdy.
My instant reaction is over and over. I think Christian McCaffrey gets one, and it might be one of those things where it's a 1-yard pass turned into a touchdown, but I think he goes over the 2 touchdowns. I think Purdy does something special this game. I think he goes over 300, if I'm being honest.
All right, so you got the over, and it's when you look at the over-unders for the quarterbacks, it's fascinating because of the expectations from both these guys and style of play. So Mahomes is in at 262, Purdy at 245, and the completions and pass attempts for Purdy, 20.5 completions. This is over-under. Pass attempts is 31.5.
If he throws it 31 times, I guess that makes sense in that kind of a scheme. If he's averaging 10-ish yards, that would, all that runs in line with my thinking. So that's,
I think there's a lot of short completions early, because the one thing I've been really impressed with is how Kansas City has taken away the big play in the playoffs. If you look at Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins, what they want to do, they either want to be quick, explosive, or hit Tyreek Hill deep. They weren't able to do that consistently. Josh Allen had a really good game, but a lot of it was Josh Allen legs on the ground because KC played back, and then saw what they did to Baltimore. Shut them down from going deep.
And as you lay that out, I think to myself, what's Kyle going to do? Because he's got 2 weeks to plan for this. It's going to be such a chess match between Spagnuolo and Kyle Shanahan, because you're right. The last 2 games, that defense has looked just incredible, just one of the best. And the way they stopped who we think is going to be the MVP and Lamar Jackson and just shut him down. And yeah, Allen had more success, but wow. Shutting down the big play. Yeah, if they do that, then I think the Chiefs win if that happens. But,
well, with that too, and then thinking about trying to guess what the game plan is going to be, let's go to Christian McCaffrey. We're talking about player over-unders in terms of yardage, attempts, completions, all those things, because it does, when you start thinking about these individuals, it lays out how you feel ultimately at the end of the game. So we go to Christian McCaffrey. So here's the good one for you. Over-under 18.5 carry for Christian McCaffrey.
Ooh, my instant gut reaction is under. I think he carries 12 to 15 times. I think he catches the ball 5 to 8 times.
So that's where I'm with you. So his over-under is 18.5 carries. I don't think he's running the ball 19, 20 times in this matchup. So that's why I'm also thinking I'm taking the under 90.5 rushing yards. But what I'm hitting is the over on rushing plus receiving yards. So that's 130.5.
I would definitely, when you say 130.5, I, without hesitation, felt like the over.
This feels like a 70-70 game for Christian McCaffrey.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. And honestly, if he puts up 150 yards, give or take, and gets a touchdown or 2, I feel like he's the MVP.
Yeah, that would definitely put him in conversation for the MVP, and then thus thinking good things happen for the San Francisco 49ers. All right, let's get the Chiefs running back in before the break, and then we'll get to the other skill position players after this. Isaiah Pacheco. So he's at 16.5 attempts, 67.5 rushing yards.
I feel over and over on that one.
I do. I like Pacheco to go over 67.5.
I like a really low number for some
focal
reason.
Point. And that's why I'm hoping, tomorrow night when I go out there, I can still get that at 67.5.
I just, for whatever reason, I just don't like gambling, but I am somewhat tempted to just go take a 20 and just pick about 10 parlay about 10 props and just see if I can.
I do it for the Super Bowl. I do.
It's a fun thing. It's different than betting on week 10, over that type of deal. That's a little more serious in the professional gambling department. But yeah, it is fun for the Super Bowl.
And everyone's going to have their squares this weekend, get you involved. I saw some good stuff too. If you're having like a Super Bowl party, just with some friends coming over, and maybe they're not gamblers, but you want to keep them involved. I saw one where you just take all the skill players' names, throw them in a hat, have a person pick the name, and then if they get a touchdown, maybe give them a Starbucks gift card or something. But just keep your Super Bowl party involved. Fun things, man. You want to have fun this Sunday. There's going to be a lot of people you're hanging out with that this is going to be the first football game they watch this year. That's the reality. As much as the NFL is king, that is going to be a truth this Sunday.
That's funny. We watch it every day. Talk about it every day.
Yes.
And there's actually people out there.
Like, how is that possible? You cannot live your life that way. Well,
I had to think about that for a second. Like, is this possible?
Yes.
I guess so.
All right, we come back another set. So we gave you the quarterbacks, the running backs, how we're feeling. So we're flirting with the overs when it comes to totals with Christian McCaffrey rush receiving. We think Pacheco's going to have a good game. We think the under with Mahomes, but we both like the quarterbacks to have multiple passing touchdowns. So who's going to get those touchdowns? Who's going to be the explosive playmakers? We'll look at the skill players. Super Bowl 58 this Sunday, San Francisco, Kansas City. You can hear the game right here on the Sports Animal at home for the NFL and Super Bowl 58. It is the opening drive on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here. And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay. We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field. 505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space, and you can be part of it.
You make my heart better. Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We here at Clark's Pet Emporium welcome you to bring in your pets. We know that having your pet with you makes the experience of shopping for them even better. And we welcome you to bring your kids also. Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
M610, the sports animal.
Discussing Super Bowl over-unders. It's a fun way to look at the game and then kind of takes you down a path of making your game pick for Super Bowl 58. So DC thinks Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes both going to find the end zone twice through the air. Passing touchdown. Maybe thinks Mahomes can have a good game, but under 262.5 passing yards. He's flirting with Brock Purdy going over 245 passing yards. So does Brock go off against that Kansas City defense? Well, if he does, then who are going to be the players to make those big plays? JJ Buck, DC with you. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the sports animal. So let's go to wide receiver 1 for the San Francisco 49ers. If you're thinking, hey, Brock Purdy is going to be at 250 plus yards in this game, Brandon Ayuk, his over-under is 63.5 receiving yards with 4.5 receptions.
You know, you say that, it sounds to me what I kind of expect. So I'd probably take the over
on both.
4.5 is a tough one. My instinct is yes, but it wouldn't surprise me if his stat line was something like 67 yards and 5 catches. I bet that one's pretty close to accurate.
And so for Brandon Ayuk, I would be taking the over in both. I think he's going to need to have one of those games against Kansas City for 49ers offense to really get going. But here is also one of the here is the trend for Brandon Ayuk. So he's gone under 4.5 receptions in 7 straight playoffs.
See, when I hear streaks like that, honestly, I feel like Kyle is going to see that and say, okay, we need to feed him the ball because they're expecting him not to get it. So schematically, I feel like hearing a stat like that is one of those aces up the sleeve that Kyle's going to try and exploit. So I'm actually feeling better about the over after hearing that, because it seems like strategically it would make sense to feed him the ball in given the history. So that's interesting. I did not realize that 7 straight games with 4.5 or less.
The 4 catches or less in 7 straight playoff games for Brandon Ayuk's kind of been, he's been their big play guy. So the play you think about, all right, who's the 49ers going to feed? Well, Deebo Samuel. He's got really interesting numbers. So Deebo Samuel, 56.5 receiving yards. Over under there. 15.5 rush yards. This is total. But the one that I go to is rushing plus receiving. So that would put it's at 76.5. And so I actually think Deebo Samuel is that dude that, they feed him those touches. And I like combining his rushing and receiving total to surpass 76.5.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that too. I'm kind of going back. So if they think he's going to get 245 passing yards with Ayuk and Deebo, between two of them, that was essentially like 110, 115. So where's the other 140 coming from? And I guess that's Kittle, because I think this will be a big Kittle game.
Okay, and this is what's fascinating about George Kittle, about what we see in this Super Bowl between these two players. You have the most explosive tight end in Travis Kelce, and then you have the best tight end in George Kittle, because what they're asked to do for their teams. Travis Kelce lining up, not on the line of scrimmage all the time. He's wide receiver 1 for the Chiefs. But then you look at George Kittle, and he's blocking, he's pancaking dudes. He's just trying to get open. So Kittle, and this is why, so let's compare both tight ends real quick, and we'll start with George Kittle. 48.5 yards, 3.5 receptions.
Definitely over on both.
Yeah, I'm not that confident at all in this, because George Kittle is the classic dude. You look at his game log, it's 2 for 15 a touchdown, 3 for 60 in a touchdown.
There's one game that always comes to my mind, though, with George Kittle, when he got like 195 yards in the first half against the Broncos. He's got it in him. If we walk away and we come back on Monday and 49ers are the Super Bowl champions, I think it's because Kittle had a big game.
I think it's because if you're feeling the 49ers win this game, then you're taking Purdy over, Kittle over, Ayuk over. Like, those are the things that are going to have to hit, I think, for San Francisco to win this game. And so you're liking the San Francisco totals right now, but we'll see what we get at the very end of this segment. Final, because for me, I look at Kittle and it's tantalizing because it's big play Kittle. It's when you look up and you're like, he just had that 45-yard reception, and that would put him right there. His over under 40.5 yards. But for Kittle, he's gone under 50.5 receiving yards in 8 of the last 11. Also under 4.5 receptions in 10 of 11 playoffs.
And the first stat you said, out of the last 11 total games or 11 playoff games?
Playoff games.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's interesting. Historically, I thought he would have a better stat line. That actually is surprising to me. But these are all the things that I'm adding up that Kyle's going to, and maybe he did this for a reason. You hear about guys that, they practice one play over and over and over again, don't use it until the Super Bowl, break it out and have success. It feels like that's what Kyle's planning on, is surprising them with some of these
Ayuk, Kittle trying to create big plays against a defense that's not surrendered the big play in the playoffs. All right, so let's bring up Travis Kelce then. We're just talking about George Kittle, the skill position players for the San Francisco 49ers. Travis Kelce, 7.5 receiving yards, 6.5 receptions.
I feel like he's going to be a focus for the San Francisco defense. So that the total yards I feel like is an under. Although the catches, I feel like
this is the one where he gets his no matter what.
You think so? And I can't totally see
8 for 80.
If they let him go wild and play the street style ball that they were playing earlier, I mean, he's going to just dominate.
I do like the overs on Kelsey.
Admittedly, I hesitate to take every over, even though I kind of want to. Like, I do think this is going to be an offensive game. The defenses, they've been good so far, but I think this is we're going to see a lot of scoring, a lot of. I do think we're going to see big plays. I think. What's the over under actually on the total score? Do you know?
Last I had it was, so it's 47.5.
Oh, I'd take the over for sure. That's interesting.
47.5.
That feels really low to me, and maybe it is just me, but. Wow, 47.5. That feels incredible.
Yeah, 6.5.
But that's at 23-24 finals. So
when you look at 6.5 receptions, like that's the highest number you're going to get in this game. But I think just Patrick feeds Travis, like gobbling up if it's short, it's down the field. Even if he's the focal point, I think he surpasses 6.5 receptions. Because
definitely.
Rashee Rice has that same number, 6.5 receptions with 67.5 yards. So I think that I'm actually looking under with Rice in receptions on this one.
Knowing that they're at the same number, I feel like the under on that. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Kelsey get 15 catches. Like, I mean, really.
9 in the first half against Baltimore.
Exactly, yeah.
And that was the same thing. It's what are they going to do? They're going to throw to Travis Kelsey. And the Ravens, I think the Ravens are a better defense right now than the 49ers. Because the Ravens, what did they have? They had Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. Really athletic linebackers. What do the 49ers have? Fred Warner and Drake Greenlaw. Really athletic linebackers. Who still caught all the passes? Travis Kelsey.
They are very similar in linebacking, and you're right. They didn't stop Kelsey. they didn't even really come close. So 9 catches the first half. Yeah, that if they repeat that, it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
All right, so this is my favorite bet of the weekend. Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Over under 19.5 yards. Give me the over, baby. This dude is catching one pass for 23 yards.
When you said that, I had the same exact thought. Like, that's it, 19? Like,
yes.
Okay, that's free money. But maybe they know something we don't. They've got the script, obviously, so.
They do.
19, wow.
19.5 yards. I'm like, this dude can catch 1 for 23.
Yeah.
That's all he needs.
And that's all they're going to be looking for. So, wow. What is his over-under on total catches?
1.5.
Of course it is.
I'm taking over under yardage. The dude's getting me 23 yards on one catch.
You taking the over on the catches, though?
No. 1 for 23.
Hey, that's
Valdes-Scantling.
I would definitely take the over on the yardage. I hesitate, though, on the catches. I can see why you take the under. I probably would, too, actually.
All right, so after that, we've talked about the skill position players. We've talked about the quarterbacks. What does that lead to in your mind of what the final score of the Super Bowl is going to be?
I'm feeling like we're about to see something like 31-27.
In favor of?
I think the Chiefs are just looking so good. It just seems like a freight train that would be very difficult to stop right now. So
31-27 Kansas City, the roadmap that we just took to get DC there. I'm sitting on 24-20 KC.
Isn't it crazy that they're the underdog?
They are.
I mean,
it's like the favorite in this game. It's by 1.5, but it's 49ers. And it's like we have to convince ourselves that they can stay in this game. And that's why I'm expecting it to be phenomenal. Because the conversation, it's easy to get skewed the last 2 weeks talking about legacies and GOAT chasing this or that. Oh, Patrick Mahomes has won 2 Super Bowls, to overlook the 49ers. Because they are absolutely getting overlooked going into the Super Bowl as the favorite. Because they don't have the elite quarterback. So this is going to be a great game. And I said all that while picking Kansas City. But I'm expecting a show early on for the 49ers. I don't think they're going to start slowing.
No, I don't either.
And it's going to be back and forth. And that also leads me to, Valdes-Scantling was my favorite, taking the over 19.5 receiving yards in this one. But I like Harrison Butker is 1.5. I'll take 2 made field goals. I think that's happening in this game from Harrison Butker. A fun one, which is not fun if you're Jake Moody, but you can actually get him like, I think it was like plus 150 to miss a field goal.
Oh my goodness!
Have like a kick, miss the kick, or have a kick blocked, which we saw happen. Missed a field goal early against the Lions. Missed one against the Packers. A couple other ones I really like. I'm talking just player specific props for this weekend. I like Chris Jones over 2.5 tackles.
Oh yeah,
and this, the line I saw it as, it wasn't a half sack, so you could get it at 0.25. So just getting Chris Jones, just getting a half sack. If you can get that, I love that.
Wow, yeah, I would take that. I'd be all over that. 0.25. Wow,
so just a half a sack.
If he's just involved, you're a winner
for the best pass rusher for Kansas City.
Wow, that's incredibly low.
So those are some things I like. Well, and if you've listened to the show this year, we're going to do the 3 for all. Maybe you need to ask Jeff Symbieta about these tomorrow. I know we're going to have some fun ones tomorrow. I think we're going to, well, I'm telling you this now, DC, your job. Look at some of the other prop bets you can find, kind of the off the wall ones, since we just went through all the player stuff, like Gatorade color, things like that.
I did some research on that. Do you know who picks the color?
No.
Gatorade does.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh. So there could be a lot of problems there.
A
little insider trading going on.
Could be.
Gatorade.
And I've read that it's actually like the colors don't necessarily align with the flavors, that it's just coloring, because they know people are betting on it.
Okay. Interesting.
Very.
Well, tune in tomorrow for the 3 for all, and we'll go over some of the more off the wall stuff when it comes to Super Bowl 58. But I thought, so I did that earlier this week with some friends, going through how we feel about the game. And then when you start thinking about individual totals, it kind of gives you like, oh, this is how I think the game is going to play out. And we just went through it, what we liked, over under, who's going to be successful. In DC, he's liking the offense. And he does think San Francisco's going to score. He's taking the over on Brock Purdy. He thinks Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey are going to have really good games. That's how you get 31-27. Yet you pick Kansas City. I'm sitting on 24-20 KC. How do you feel about Super Bowl 58? It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
The Super Bowl matchup is set.
Hi, I'm Steve Zucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number 1 in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. but it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part,
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Headline this morning is this NBA trade deadline day. Super Bowl 58 Sunday. The NBA is like, hey, look at us, we're making some moves, but it's not mega moves. You're not going to see that. There's not a disgruntled superstar right now. Like James Harden is happy. Russell Westbrook is happy. They're playing together with the Clippers. Kyrie Irving doesn't have a team to blow up right now. Living life. Playing with Luka Doncic, scoring a boatload of points in the Dallas Mavericks. And that's what you usually see at the trade deadline is which superstar is upset. There's not really a superstar that's upset. Do the Lakers feel like they're underperforming? Sure. But LeBron James is never going anywhere. It does not make the Lakers better to trade LeBron for first-round picks in 2030. That's not going to make the team. Oh, look, we have assets. You can find other ways to get assets. You needed a pick that bad. You could dump D'Angelo Russell off for second-round pick. You're going to work your way into finding more first-round picks. The way the world works in the NBA. But Woj just tweeted out that the New York Knicks have made a trade with the Detroit Pistons. So the Knicks getting some more help on the wings. Bojan Bogdanovic, solid veteran shooter. Alec Burks. Since Alec Burks played for the Knicks before, it feels like he's been there. I don't know. But Alex Burks is just everywhere. He's one of those guys that...
He's a buff?
Yeah. He'll be on like 11 NBA teams. So the Knicks traded some of the rotation players. The Pistons traded rotation players to the Knicks for Quentin Grimes. That's two young guys in the backcourt that the Knicks have gotten rid of. They traded Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett to Toronto for OG Anunoby. That's an upgrade on the wing with OG. But now Quentin Grimes, Malachi Flynn, Evan Fournier, which is the contract, Ryan Arcidiacono, and 2 second-round picks go to the Pistons. So the Pistons just acquiring those picks and some cap relief. But it is interesting seeing the Knicks get older in the backcourt at the trade deadline. Emmanuel Quickley, good 6-man off the bench for him, but that's, hey, you want to get better on the wings, the OG Anunoby, you had to trade him, and now a young player, Quentin Grimes, going. But I think Grimes and Burks kind of cancel each other out in terms of their minutes in the rotation. Bogdanovic, a solid veteran player, come and play the 3, play some stretch 4 for you. But the immediate thought is that takes the Knicks out of the conversation for LeBron James, because Evan Fournier was one of the big things. Like, he has a decent-sized contract. You were going to have to package him plus in that trade. But again, I don't think LeBron's going anywhere. I don't think it benefits the Lakers to trade LeBron James right now. Stay the course. If you're a playing team, so be it. They went on the run last year because the Lakers, when you get to the playoffs, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, a decent rotation. They got 3-and-D guys. That's all you need on that team. They're going to be competitive. And I know that's not the standard of just being competitive, but that's the reality of it. There are better teams than the Lakers in the Western Conference right now. There's not a deal to be made to drastically improve your team. And part of that is also trading LeBron does not make sense to me. But you can still go compete in the playoffs. And where did they go last year? I know the Western Conference is better this season. But if you're LA, you're LeBron James, you're Anthony Davis, say, hey, we went to the Western Conference Finals last year. We can do it again this year. But this is what I was expecting at the NBA trade deadline. Just a lot of the moves on the edges. That's what you're going to do because there's not an upset superstar going anywhere.
That is the piece that dictates this more often than not, doesn't it? There's someone's mad. He's got to get out. Move me now or I'm not playing type situation. We don't have that, do we?
We don't.
Believe it or not, NBA players are satisfied, it seems.
NBA players are happy. Teams are trying to get better. We've seen some big moves like Pascal Siakam, Toronto, Indiana happened a little bit earlier. It wasn't a trade deadline deal, but that's a sizable move for the Pacers. The move that they made this morning, trading Buddy Hield to Philadelphia, is interesting. You know, Buddy was a 20-minute per game player for him, a 3-point shooter. And now you have him going to a conference rival in the Philadelphia 76ers. And those two teams are playing for positioning. Right now, Philadelphia, 30-20. Indiana is 29-23. That's 5th and 6th in the Eastern Conference. But if you're Indiana, you're looking at Philadelphia and going, they do not have Joel Embiid. They have to play at least 4 weeks without Joel Embiid. So you feel that you can start taking those steps up. The top 4. And we have completely forgotten about this team. Cleveland Cavaliers are the second best record in the Eastern Conference. They've won 7 in a row. They're 9-1. Out of left field, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know there was some very, very small rumors about the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell. Given he's one of those players, is he going to move on after this season? No, but you ride this right now. Donovan Mitchell, nice front court. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. 33-16. Start talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers a little bit. Sandwiched in between the Boston Celtics and Milwaukee Bucks. But it is really what the NBA trade deadline has become is solidify your rotation day. And that's really the moves that we have seen so far. I'm saying, what are they saying about some of the big names that maybe Chicago has discussed? Moving DeMar DeRozan, the Pelicans have actually talked about acquiring DeJounte Murray. That would be something to watch out for. So if you can keep CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson with DeJounte Murray, that would be nice for the New Orleans Pelicans. But I don't think we're going to see an all-stars traded today. Just a lot of the pieces on the edges for these teams. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line this morning. It is the opening drive on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This is Boomer Esiason with
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready.
My coach. My teacher. My older sisters. My grandma. My brother. My tutor. My dad and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready.
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, taint, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Meyer here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Like me, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Rick Pitino talking about Richard Pitino and other jobs. This happened after St. John's beat DePaul 85-57 Tuesday night. Rick Pitino, head coach of St. John's, was asked about Richard Pitino maybe getting the DePaul job after this season, because DePaul is open. Someone asked, like, hey, Rick, what would you think about Richard getting the job at DePaul? And Rick Pitino said, quote, I personally want him to stay at New Mexico. I want him to stay at New Mexico until I leave St. John's, and he can take my place then. The Hall of Fame coach then added, the one thing I can tell you about my son, Richard, I have no say in what he does. I did when he was my assistant coach. He's his own man. So if he wants to go to DePaul or any place else, that's going to be his call. Well, that is just a bomb of a statement.
It really is.
From Rick Pitino. Now, Richard's just like, Richard's sitting there this morning. He's going to get a text. Rammer's going to be on it. We have the media availability on Friday. He's going to be like, hey,
Dad,
I have to answer this question now.
What are you doing?
Someone's be like, so, Richard, you going to be the next coach of St. John's when your dad leaves?
I mean, on one hand, you can look at it that he's only been there 1 year, so that might be another 5 or more years with the Lobos, which would be very good.
Great. Yes, it would.
I mean, that'd be ideal.
Rick Pitino, unfiltered, post-game press conference. This dude is at another level. He's talking about salary caps in college basketball. Real stuff that needs to be addressed. Name, image, and likeness, and it being the wild, wild west. But how about that? So that is from Rick Pitino. The words of Rick Pitino, not sourced, this is a post-game press conference Tuesday night. St. John's beat DePaul. And then someone asked, hey, would your son be interested in coaching DePaul after this season? Because they are in a head coaching search. They fired their head coach a couple weeks ago. And Rick Pitino, quote, I personally want him to stay at New Mexico. I want him to stay at New Mexico until I leave St. John's, and he can take my place.
Wow, that is such a can to open at the last segment of it.
Right before we sign off today.
Give you something to think about for 21 hours.
Marinate on that.
The passing of the torch, though, there is something to that from father to son, coach to coach. I mean, you know Pitino much better than I do, but what is your thought on this initially hearing this?
I've never thought about St. John's, but I've thought about the East Coast. Like Pitino,
he's an East Coast guy.
He's an East Coast guy. If he continues to have this success at New Mexico, it's going to happen. There's going to be a job that can double his salary in the Big East. He has an affinity for the Big East. There's a reason that when he talks about the Mountain West, he compares it to the Big East. And he says the Mountain West Conference can be the Big East of the West. And so I believe at some point, if Richard Pitino continues to have this success at the University of New Mexico, playing for conference championships, getting into the NCAA tournament, he's going to get a Big East job. The way life works.
Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense. So he's turned down. Who did he turn down? Someone last year?
South Florida came calling at the end of last
year, and it
was a little bit of a pay bump,
but kind of a sidestep type move for him in coaching terms of coaching, right?
With the potential that this year's roster had. Like for Richard Pitino, you knew that if you had better success, you in the NCAA tournament, you get a victory or you get 2 victories, they're going to build you a statue at the pit if this team shows up in the Sweet 16. But that was the better route to that next step. And that's just the reality of the conversation. Does Richard Pitino want to leave right now? No, that's not what I'm saying. But it's the path of coaching.
Right.
It's what they do. And I believe if a Big East team, I don't know if it's DePaul or someone else, like came open. I know DePaul is not, we're not talking to East Coast with DePaul. But if one of those jobs came open, yeah, Richard Pitino is absolutely listening. Essential double salary and going back.
Wow.
And it's just now it's his dad, Hall of Fame basketball coach Rick Pitino, just decided, hey, let me throw a grenade into the press room for you. Right before you're playing UNLV, sold out pit, trying to build your NCAA tournament resume. Here you go.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's going to bring up some interesting questions. That's a good way to disrupt Super Bowl weekend, is have a little tidbit like this come out at the end.
Yes.
Man, that is something though, because on one hand, I'm hearing it like that could be the best possible news for New Mexico, but then again, it could be the worst. It's so interesting.
And I think Rick Pitino still has a couple more years left in him.
I would think so.
With St. John's just getting there this season, getting back, onto the big stage. But I think that's in the comment from Rick Pitino is why he said he wants him to stay at New Mexico until I leave. So put your time in. You got some time. You're building it up. And then it will be all good for you here at St. John. Which, it's easy to say, but then you have to get St. John's on board. You have to get Richard on board. It's like, it's going to just sit there and wait. And is that going to be, all right, Daddy, I'll go take over? No, it's not the way it works. And that's why Rick Pitino did say, hey, he's his own man. He's going to do his own thing. Which is kind of a dream of Rick's. And that came from being asked about would his son be interested in coaching at DePaul, because St. John's just beat DePaul on the road.
Yeah, so the context of the question was very relevant to the game. Wow, that is interesting, though. You would think his dad would have influence on who takes over for him. So maybe, perhaps. Maybe not, though, I guess. Don't really know how they operate, but assuming St. John's, if they had, oh wow, this is interesting. If he's on there for another 5 years, you would think he would have enough influence to say, hey, this is kind of the way I want to step out. But wow.
And then who knows, if Richard is still having this success, and you look at the Lobos and they get to where you want them to be, which is a contender.
Say they make 2 straight Sweet 16s.
Oh man,
he's going to get every call, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, it's a matter of when, not if.
If they make 2 straight Sweet 16s, I can't imagine what this place would be like. I don't know if you understand what that means, Lobo basketball.
Well, knowing they haven't been there before would be everything, I would think.
And you just used the phrase back to back, 2 straight. Oh my gosh.
Like, you got to get one
my heart
first.
almost just stopped. It's like, oh.
Every Lobos fan's like, what? You got to get one first. What are you talking about, crazy?
Oh.
But and that's always the terms I think, like, moving forward, what would it take to really have that result happen? And 2 good runs could definitely do it.
That would be game changing for the university, for the fan base. And
University definitely wins in that scenario, because then they replace him with someone who's up and coming. So,
well, let's sit on that for 21 hours. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Award-winning radio. Jeff Symbieta back in town as well. DC, awesome job, my man. Adrian on ProView Networks. Big thank you to Jerry Palm. Got Jim Rome show coming up next. Colin Cowherd at 1 o'clock. The Boys and A-Marie 2-Man on Radio Row in Las Vegas. Everybody, medical peace and love. Have a great day.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Good ball movement again.
Beautiful. Beautiful ball movement leads to that Joshua Jackson, corner 3.
Joshua Jackson.
Adams with the answer on the other end.
Long 3 to Green. Inside, and she's bumped, and she throws it up, and they count it.
Right past him. Now steps back. Nothing but nylon on a 3 from Jalen Holland.
Lund driving, and he slams home the dagger.
Scoring draft for both teams. Some turnovers. Oh, Jaden Johnson takes it right back. He's got Archuleta on the right. That's where he wants to go. Archuleta back to Jaden.
That's a good move. Looked like he had a lane.
Brown, deep 3. Bang!
What?
Kick it up. Big man down low.
Oh, what a block!
ProView Networks, he always talks about you got to weather those runs. Jaden Johnson to Kevin Archer.
Oh, what a block!
Time to get serious, Steve. Poked away by Steverson. Get out your cameras. Hammer time for Daniel Steverson on the steal and the dunk.
Hornets can foul right now. They got some.
They have a bunch of fouls to give. Mask for 3. That might be the dagger.
I'll tell you.
Bye.